I want to say thank you to everyone for coming. It's a very humbling experience that I'm going through. It's been about close to 7 months, and I'm finding out a lot about myself. I did not realize how hard it was going to be to run for a judge. It's very humbling to walk up to people you don't know and ask them to give you a vote of confidence for a position that carries so much responsibility, and they don't know anything about you. I've met a lot of people, I've shaken a lot of hands, so as a germaphobe, that it's changing me, and it's changing me for the better. I don't think that Betsy knew what we were getting into either, but she's been incredibly supportive. I have some very long days, and she's so far, she's been awesome. And so I love you for being so supportive, and we have another 10 months to go. So for those of you in the room who have never met my family, let me introduce them. This lovely woman is my wife, Betsy. And this little peanut is Sophia, and she's 4. Say hi. And this little one is Jack, and he'll be 2 years old on Saturday.
Happy birthday!
And off he goes. And they're off. So, in a judicial race, I get a very common response when I'm out meeting people. And the most common question I get is, since they don't know me, why should I vote for you? Why do you deserve my confidence? And that's a great question, because in judicial races, all I can really talk about is family values and where I've come from. I can talk about my career. And what I like telling them is that for 20 years I've driven my practice without a website. And hopefully in the age of Google, that says a lot about my personality. And I get a very positive response. And I also like to tell them the people who have influenced me. You know, my mom is back here and waving her hand. You know, for 52 years of my life, I've seen how my mom and dad are guided by their core values. For those of you who don't know, my mom and dad came to this country in 1960 with 2 suitcases and $500. They were foreigners in a foreign land, speaking a foreign language with no family, no friends. They were just on their own to lean on one another. They were faced with some very serious challenges, and they persevered. They made really good choices, and they thrived. They're the epitome of the American dream, and for 52 years of my life, I've seen day after day how they are guided by their morals and their values, and that has influenced me. In particularly, I'm really proud of my mom, and I'm going to sing her praises. For those of you in the room who don't know, she's an attorney. She's now retired. She was a lawyer in Israel. They wouldn't let her practice because her degree came from a school that was not ABA accredited. Inevitably, when we came to Tampa in 1968, she fell into the legal profession, but she worked as a paralegal. She worked side by side with lawyers whom she was just as knowledgeable about, but couldn't make the same decisions. And they would give her orders, and she would have to follow them. And sometimes those orders were, go fetch me coffee. And she would do what she needed to do. She put her pride in her pocket, and she did what she needed to do. The Florida Supreme Court in the mid-70s approved a program for foreign attorneys, so she was ultimately able to take the bar and practice law. And my mom was the first female to ever be hired in the Tampa office of Holland & Knight. She shattered that barrier. She climbed that wall. And at a time when the legal community was driven by a good old boys club, it was male-dominated. They decided to have a holiday party in a gender-restricted venue, and she marched into Chesterfield Smith's office, an icon in the legal community, and said, if that's where you're going to have the party, count me out. This firm is so proud of finally having hired a woman, associate, you want people to know about it, then move the venue. We know today how important it is to fight for equality. My mom was fighting that battle 42 years ago. She was guided by her morals and her values. It's in her core. They moved that event. For 52 years, I've seen how my mom is driven and guided by her core values for her decision-making process, and that has influenced me. And I look at the influence from my mom and my dad in the way that I've run my practice without a website. I look at the decisions I made in my life. My wife, bless her heart, she's out chasing the kids. I married my best friend. For those of you who don't know, we knew each other for 8.5 years. We were friends before we ever started dating. We dated for 1.5 years, and we just celebrated our 7th anniversary. We're making a life together. We have 2 beautiful kids. And these great decisions come from core values that I learned from my mom and my dad. So when I'm out on the campaign trail, and I'm meeting people for the first time, and I'm asking them to give me a vote of confidence when they don't know anything about me, I can't talk about sensitive subjects, I can't talk about politics, but I can talk about core values. And it's those same sort of core values that have driven my practice, the commitment and the dedication that I have to my clients. For the lawyers in the room, this will have a little bit greater context. Not only have I had a criminal defense practice for 20 years, I've written 300 appeals. And as we all know, we don't have 3 or 4 hours in our day to sit by a computer and write an appeal. When I was single, it was easy to devote a weekend. But once I got married and I had my kids, I want to be with them. So I had to find time now to write those appeals. Last night, from 11 o'clock to 2:30 in the morning, I was writing a brief to the 2nd DCA. It's that sort of level of commitment and dedication that I've done in the private practice that I'm going to do if I'm fortunate enough to be elected. I've never been a 9-to-5er, and I'm not going to start. You know, I look at this odyssey that I'm on, and it's so humbling. It's changing me as a person, and it's changing me for the better. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank everyone for coming here and supporting me. People have come out and have said such nice things to me and are showing me that they're really behind this campaign. And it means the world to me. So I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for your support. I'm working hard, and I'm going to continue. I have 10 more months to go, and I hope that come August 28th, the voters of Hillsborough County will give me a vote of confidence. Thank you very much.